Yeah, I look kind of Russian, I think. I don't remember where we left off, and I kind of forget what I was gonna say.
You were just here when you were fiddling with this, like, oh, I'm gonna ask you something, and it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember where we left? We just took a short. Chris wants to make me a special snack before I leave.
Yep.
Very. You must have shared some nice meals traveling. Like, I remember staying at a commune in Portugal, and it was like, you'll love this. Yeah, we need to get more into our travel stories. Like,
next one.
Episode, what did you say? Yeah.
Next episode.
Next episode in Algonquin, maybe. Yeah.
The call of the loon in the background.
Oh, I heard loons for the first time like last summer. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that was the most beautiful sound I've ever heard.
It is, yeah.
And
so soothing.
I stayed at this commune, this community in Portugal. It was really lovely, and I was there for 3 days, and I'm sure after, like, if you're there for a month, like, it wasn't all paradise, right? But the 3 days I was there was really nice, and we would be out in the woods, like, preparing things and collecting wood, and you would hear this sound from the distance. You'd hear, oh, and that was the sound for lunchtime.
Oh, nice.
And that's what they would do. And so you'd be like, nice, lunchtime. And
yeah.
Like, oh. Yeah. And like a few people would do it. And so you'd go back to like the main part of the community, and we'd all sit in a circle. We'd all sit on the ground, and one or two people would make the meals that day. There was like a schedule for the week. And yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice to share. Like, that's something important to me too. Like, I grew up like having a lot of family dinners, so I had such a good time at the cottage this summer where we all sat down, and I'm like, oh, I'm on vacation. Like, we were sitting at the dinner table, everybody's eating and sharing nice stories. I didn't want to leave. I was like, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
And but also, the last day I was there, every Sunday or something, they do a share circle that you were speaking of earlier, and it was really nice. They just went around the circle, and they said, if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to, but if you feel like you want to share what you feel like is going well in the community, or any feelings you're having that you want advice on or you want to share, like, and it was really beautiful. And we went around the circle, and it was a coming together thing, like whether it's a meal or so. That was a cool experience.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wish I tried to do that with my family, like once a week when we were having some issues. Like every Sunday we would sit down and regroup and make sure we're all being heard. And yeah,
that's very courageous and vulnerable of you. That's
vulnerable.
Special.
Oh, sorry to keep talking about. Yeah, we'll wrap this up in a minute, but
do your thing.
It's two things. No. I'm gonna forget. Okay, the vulnerable thing, because the other thing just came to my head. Do you know what? Have you heard of couch surfing before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, I know the founder. I was reading a little bit about him, and he said, if you think about it, when people are opening up their homes to a stranger, how like vulnerable they are being, as well as the person who's like taking the risk to stay with the stranger. We're not really strangers.
Yeah,
right?
We're all friends.
Yeah, it's a great game. Shout out to We're Not Really Strangers. And that's two vulnerabilities. Like, it's even vulnerable for him. He's like, you're coming into my house, like, hopefully you're not gonna like trash the place or whatever.
Of course, yeah.
Those two vulnerable energies though coming together, just like when you take people on the adventures with Driftwood Paddle, like you both are bringing adventure to the table, and then it's like super adventure, or it's like those vulnerabilities are able to really mold with each other and something beautiful happens. And yeah, it's like, I would say it's likely easier for like a guy to do couch surfing, unless a girl's staying with a girl too. I found actually like more guys, like I wouldn't get as many responses on couch surfing when I was trying to stay with guys. But yeah, the
That's interesting.
yeah, and when I did, it was great too. Like I use couch surfing a lot, and I think yeah, when it's simple, like when you're able to be vulnerable. Yeah, you can comment. Go ahead.
No, I just remember hearing one story. The thing is, I don't want to make like a bad name for couch surfing because it's not. It's amazing. But I remember, I forget who told me about this story. So they went and stayed, and like they got there, and the owner was like, we just go naked in the house, and it was like,
okay.
There's already another couch surfer upstairs. Like, just the way it is, man. And so like,
get with it.
Yeah. And so he's like, I just had to get naked, and he said it didn't, like, at first it felt weird, and it just was like normalized, but just, yeah, it's just interesting. I think that's like an extreme. Most like the couch surfing that I've experienced has been amazing. Like, not only are you getting to stay with someone local for cheap or not, like usually nothing, but also they're so open to sharing about the area, which is hard to get beyond the traveling.
Yeah.
What to go to like dive into the local knowing. So yeah, special. And I've been a couch surfer, like a host like up north, which is
very
always
cool.
And the one gentleman that came through, he brought like a little barbecue with charcoals and had already marinated chicken, like to feed like a lot of people, and we feasted, him and I.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's great when you can be the host too and give back, and it's something I loved. Like, so many people opened up their lives and their houses to me on the road.
Yeah.
And they would cook these authentic meals for me. I didn't even know that was part of the exchange.
Yeah.
I was like, I just thought it was like a couch, and like we would exchange friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know they'd also give me energy to take home with me, as like I would for them too. You know, what are you leaving, or what are you rocking with you? What was the thing?
Yeah. What's sticking with you?
What's sticking with you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, couch surfing is great, and great way to. I hosted some people in Barrie, which is kind of neat. He's like, so what's fun to do around here? I'm like, well, we have a cool park. I'd take you to Sunnydale Park.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I really like that, and it is a nice park.
It is really nice. The energetic exchange, like, of being out, like, I feel like we need to thank people for the opportunity to serve. So when someone comes to your place, they're thanking you, but you should also feel grateful to serve them, and for them to give you the opportunity to like give of yourself, because it's a really great feeling to do so. And when you change your mindset or change your perspective and your lens to that, then you're not always worried about what am I, like, I'm such a nice person, when am I going to get, when someone gonna do something for me? Because like then you have these expectations, and everyone knows that expectations lead to like unhappiness,
Right.
Because that's just not the way life works. Whereas if you have no expectations and you're thankful for the opportunity to serve, as well as grateful for the opportunity to be served when that happens, then it just creates, like, back to that word, it creates flow, and you're able to cultivate love anywhere, because you're able to recognize when things are happening that are benefiting you, whether it's simple things like a sun or rain or whatever, but also when someone does something nice to you, holds the door, it's not like, oh, awkward, they held the door open to me, now I gotta say something. It's like, thank you so much, but also that you have the opportunity to do things for other people, and it feels really great. And that's where that thing that came through for me was that giving is receiving. This summer, I realized that it's not a rain check for karma for it to come back at some point, that you're wondering, when's this rain check gonna cash in? I did something nice for someone. It's the knowing and the understanding and the feeling that it's happening. Like, it's a reciprocity, like, immediately. It's happening at the same time. Like, as I'm sharing knowledge with you, you're listening and sharing love. It's just happening. Like, it's a massaging of energies and
That's
flowing.
deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Deep
real.
massage. Yeah,
It's a deep massage.
I just got that. Like, yeah, I was gonna say, or it already happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're waiting for this thing to happen now because you did all these nice things for somebody. It's like, oh well, like, what about like the beautiful sunsets that you've been noticing now, or like, that's just an example, and like, or the little things that you're not paying attention to, or that beer that somebody bought you or whatever, like it's not always going to come in the same size, or like, or who's to say like what's better than the other thing, or greater and less. That's really cool. It's actually like the moment, giving is receiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. I it was a situation where I really wanted this thing to happen, and I felt like some resistance to the person wanting to receive. It was like creating space for a good friend of ours to play some music in front of his friends. His mom was there, and I had a recorder so I could record it, so I could give him these songs. But I felt like there was some resistance, and I was like a little bit more pushy than I usually am. Like, he had already said he wanted to do it, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna set this area up, and then it was happening. It was just so beautiful, and you could see like just everyone appreciating it, him really like enjoying, like appreciating him doing this, and him really enjoying playing in front of his mom and my brother and my brother's girlfriend, myself. And I just felt so good, and this, like, it just like came through that this giving is receiving, and like more people have thought of this before, I'm sure, but it was just such a beautiful, impactful realization that it's happening all the time. And yeah, I could get into like my journey of like love and self-love, and like and again it was like this resource of love that we all want is like, if we're open to it, we put the lens on, and we're receptive to receiving, and like we understand what giving it is, like it's an unlimited resource that we can continually to cultivate and to give, and it ripples out.
I remember the author of The Untethered Soul. He said, it's like chapter 3 or something. He's
Line
like
6,
yeah,
page 4.
Yeah, he's like, the trick to keeping your heart open all the time is to get this, like, not close it. He's like, and I was like, come on, man, like that sounds too simple. Like, what do you mean? And however, I'm noticing, when you have good self-awareness, or like bodily awareness, emotional intelligence, when if you're mad at somebody or something, and they'll give you a compliment or something, and as that energy comes to you, and and I do it too, like, and I notice I'm having a hard time receiving it because I'm holding a small grudge or something, or I'm resisting because I'm frustrated, like, and I don't get, my friend said that the other day. He's like, I don't get sad very often or angry, but I get like frustrated, and I was like, I'm kind of like that too. And but it's maybe that's as simple as that, like really noticing when you're resisting, and in those moments, like trying to receive that love, because it's, even though they've upset you or something, receive it and deal with the upsetting issue at the appropriate time, where you have a nice communicative conversation.
What do you mean? Like, so they've created frustration in you?
So
where's the love?
And then they'll like send you love or something.
They'll
like give you a compliment, and you're kind of like, you're annoyed because you're just frustrated, and or you're having a bad day or something, and you're just like blocking the energy, and like that's part of like your heart closing, I guess. And I'm pretty good at keeping my heart open most of the time. I've noticed times though where I have closed it, like whether it's family and stuff, and I've met a lot of people who have lost loved ones. Like, it seems like this common trend, whether I'm like dating somebody or like a friend, and you know, when you meet somebody who's lost like a sibling or like a parent, and if you still have your parents, and to put that at the front of your mind, that like, you know, if you're mad at your parents or something, or like, you know, really trying to tap into the presentness of like the quality of time, and like, you know, they're existing right now.
Yeah.
They're part of your life. They're there. And like, then you meet people who like, they're gone, their parents are gone or something, or parent. And that's always been a good reminder for me. Like when people tell me that, I'm like, wow, that really sucks. Like that must be really hard to like live without your favorite person who like you grew up with and they taught you so much and you shared so many memories with. You know, that actually like propels me to like want to touch base with my people I love even more, where I'm like, this person doesn't have that in their life, or they might have it in a different role or a different person. So it's like when my friend died too, like 10 years ago, and you know, yeah, it was really sad. It actually though like almost motivated me to live more, and motivated our friend circle to live more, and like to appreciate life as much as we could. And you were talking about that positive toxicity thing, like, and just I like to be optimistic a lot of time, and I try and bring light to every situation. Like when my uncle's a lot like that. He's like kind of like Peter Pan too. He's like 60 and like never grown up. And like my dad is like in a coma. Like true story. He's like in a coma
right now.
No. Sorry. Like he was in a coma. A few years ago from a brain injury, and my uncle comes in, and you know, it's like it's a serious environment. Like everyone's shocked and like don't know how to feel. He comes in and he's like making, like being facetious is the word, like making jokes in a serious situation. But in the light of it, it's like, you know, he's like, Lee, you gotta wake up and see the pretty nurses here. Like, come on, like, you know, and we're kind of, like, part of us are like, if we didn't know him, we would have been like, come on, that's not the right time to be like that. But we're like, look at this guy. Like, he's still like, has given some love in a way, and everybody did something different, which was neat. But yeah, you can jump in. It's nice. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, about the love thing, the giving and receiving, like not trying not to close. And even in tense environments, like of course there's times to hear someone and be there and support them, and sometimes you just give them a hug and things like that. And then there's times to make sure we're focusing on what we can control. And like I read that in like the Osho book. It was like something about, he's like, I'm just so glad to exist. And I was like, man, like, I'm existing right now. Like, you know, you hear alive a lot. Like, it's so great to feel alive. What makes you feel alive? You'd probably say like going on my adventure trips, right? It's like, but like I also exist. I like, my body's working. Like
I'm living like a reality as a human right now.
Whatever that means.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, and that's like a good pillar to that propels me, like, to
for sure. Well, like death is interesting.
Definitely. It's been a common thing that I've kind of been attracted to, which that sounds bad, but like something about it intrigues me, and most people don't like to talk about it, especially in this culture. And sorry to interrupt, just quickly, I also heard like most people, when they think about, you know, what they believe in life, you know, they start thinking about it, and then once they get to death, this is the author of The Beach said this, once they get to death and their thoughts about, what is this life all about, they kind of stop thinking about it. So like, I don't want to think about that anymore. But once you can, you know, get comfortable with death, like be at peace, then it becomes intriguing. But go ahead, like how do you feel about the opposite of existence?
No, I think I was resistant to it for a while. I think as most people are. I definitely noticed that within Western culture, there's a uh, like a distance or dissonance
Yeah.
with it. Therefore, I think unfortunately it causes that fear. Whereas again, with traveling, you notice how close people are to death. You know, they see death, the way that their funerals, etc., are run, as opposed to if I was to die right now, you'd call 911. A coroner or funeral home would probably come pick me up, and then that would be it. You know, there'd be no like really like spending time with the body or whatever. Like not to say that that needs to happen.
Yeah.
But there's less of, and people like spend time in a hospital before they die or in a hospice, whereas like people like stay at home in these other places. So, but I think that death is beautiful and it's not to be feared at all. That because you're, again, it's like fearing those dark clouds on the horizon.
Nice
like,
metaphor.
Yeah, if you're just enjoying this moment, and then when that does come to pass, like when the wings of change are death, then it's just that's the time, right? And you're not resistant of like, I didn't live. You're like, I lived, I was present, and now I'm here.
You
know?
did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I'm at the end of the video game. I beat the boss. Or,
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I did what I was supposed to do. Exactly. I lived this life. And so actually just recently I was at a festival, and we were like trying to find a place to find a tent, and we went off the beaten track because we're a bit more, me and my buddy Dan like to call ourselves scouts. We like scouting, and we found like an area with like a lot of just animal bones. It was crazy, like lots of beaver skulls. So I'm not sure if there used to be a trapper in the area, etc., or if it was an area where like animals just went to die. But I'm assuming it was a trapper. Anyways, we went back a couple days later, like during the festival, and we had been dancing, and in the rain, we went back in there. We thought we were both like drawn in there, but also like it was like a respect, reverence, but also like slight like why and fear. But like we went in there, and we were like looking around, and I just had an overcoming feeling of like, I need to like make peace with death right now. I need to reflect on it, and I just chilled there for a second. And what came through, and like this is like not my, like this is like, yeah, I don't need to justify, but it's not like I just like hang out with animal bones all the time. Like my brother has a collection, and that is really cool, and it's not like he's like spiritual with them. He just thinks they're really neat, and I'm almost like, oh, they're cool, but I have no really interest in them. And so this was strange, and so I'm there, and it was just like I'm like, I need to make peace with death. So I just chilled, and I'm like, first off that came through was like, it's beautiful. Death is beautiful. It's part of life. Death is life. And then it was like, it's a celebration, and I really enjoyed places that celebrated death. And I think like even in our culture, I know we have to do the funeral home thing, but like just creating a point of like an open mic, like get up and tell stories.
Yeah.
Because like everyone has a different story of that person, you know, and like funny story. There's a reason why someone's at a funeral, right? So like share those, and like it can be like 5 minutes, or like chances are it's gonna be like 30 seconds. You know, I remember him doing this. He was there for me when I had this. You know, they were there, and then it was just like responsibility to like take care of my mind, soul, and body, so that when I do come to pass, that like the flesh and stuff that I'm putting back into the soil isn't of a toxic kind that the soil has to really work hard to decompose me. Like it's more pure, so I'm eating healthier, you know, my cells are made up and more. I'm also respecting life by taking care of myself, and then also like my energies, my frequencies, what I put out into this world, my way of looking at life, the way I've treated people, my legacy, so to speak, my energetic legacy is one that when it dissipates, it's only gonna continue to bring up the vibrations of the world. So it was a pretty deep 5 minutes or less. I don't know what the time was, but yeah, that's how I feel about death, and I'm very thankful because not only have I not lost people that are super close to me, I lost my grandparents, I lost some of my aunts and uncles, but like I feel that I'm in a place that I'm gonna be able to navigate it better.
Yeah.
And I'm in the situation, the reality that I'm with someone that is going through that, or myself, then I'm able to navigate that as well with them or with myself.
Yeah, beautifully said. Like, you know, when you can be really present with people, you've made memories with people, you've been through challenges with them, you've learned and grew with each other, and they're leaving pieces of themselves in you, and you're doing the same for them. And then when they get to the end of their video game and they're going to the next level, wherever that may be, maybe it's back on Earth, maybe it's somewhere else, who knows, and being thankful that they were along for your ride. And a friend of mine likes to say, like, we're all actors on a stage, and some people come into your life and they're there for a while and then they pop out.
Oh, I love that.
Some people pop in and pop out just for some scenes, and it's just all like having that awareness when you're in the moment with people, like like I do that all the time. Like, that's again back to being 20 and then being 30. When I was in 20, I don't think I thought about any of this stuff. It was just, and I asked my parents, like, when they were 20, like, what was that like? Like, what were you thinking about? And they don't have answers. They were just so present, and they're like, I'm like, were you, and same with when I was 20 and then being 30, I'll observe a lot more now, which when I'm with like a bunch of friends and we're playing categories or something, we're having a great time, we're at a fire, and then I'll just like take a peek. I'm like, man, like even right now, like we're doing this like podcast, like this is a moment, and it's like a classic Jeff. I'm like, this is captured in time, and we're all present and having a beautiful time, and life doesn't always have, like, life will bring those dark clouds, and so if you can just appreciate, like he says it in The Beach, I won't bust out the line.
Come on.
He says, and then we can wrap it up with your painting of the moose, and because you seem like a moose guy, and he says in The Beach, he says, as for me, do I still believe in paradise? And he says, at least I know it's not some place you can look for, because it's not where you go. It's how you feel for a certain moment in your life when you're a part of something. And if you find that moment, then it lasts forever.
Cool.
And that's from the movie, and like I remember it's at the ending of the movie, and I'm like, oh damn, like it's like
that's a nice one to leave you with,
when you're with your groups and you paddle all day, and you're there and you made the food and you're all just sitting there, everyone worked really hard, and you're like we did it. Like,
hell yeah.
Each day is kind of like a life. Like
I think something that resonates with that quote with me is a really good friend of mine, Jenya. He says that it's not a place to come from. No, it's not a place to arrive to, it's a place to come from. And that's like a paradise, fulfillment. It's somewhere within you that you're coming from, rather than like seeking to get there. Yeah, I love it. And we talk about it like with modalities as well, like different things. Like, being a yogi, it's not a place to arrive to, it's like a place to come from, like, so embodying like the yogic mentality, the philosophies, believing in yourself, and then I love that.
That's beautiful. Great way to wrap it up with CK. Sea flow. With
sea foam.
I hope I can go on one of your adventures. It sounds amazing, and thank you for taking the time to have an awesome connection and a great talk. And you do you see moose? Can the camera still the moose? Do you see moose in the wild on your trips?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's wildlife, so nothing's ever guaranteed, but we have our spots that we have some pretty good chances of seeing moose and some really cool interactions. I've had some amazing times, just like spending time with the moose pretty close in my boat, and or like one time with the girl I was dating and our two dogs. It was really special. We spent an hour with like this big bull moose, like yeah, it was huge. And it was like late August, so late August about this time they've come back to the water to feed on the roots of the water flora, and so they're digging in the water and they're blowing bubbles as they're eating, and this thing would like eat so much because they're eating like 100 kg a day, like the big ones, yeah, and then it would like it would get a blockage and then it would go oh, and it would just like echo all around, and we were like deep into the park, you know, it was, I think we paddled out all in one day. It was like 10 hours, the four of us, like with the dogs, including the dogs. And so they're an amazing animal, and now that I'm becoming more in tune with nature as I continue to spend more time, I love their energy, that they're very calming, and like people are often like, oh, if they charge you, like never even had like anything close to that. I mean, I'm very respectful of them, but I feel the energy and the strength of them, but also like the spirit and the wisdom. Especially hanging around a bull, I feel like my testosterone and like wild man just just really flares up in a good way, yeah. And then the cow especially in the spring with her little calves, one or two usually, is very beautiful, like how they navigate motherhood. But yeah, they're like the biggest animal around us, and there's plenty of them.
Yeah, nicely said. Like even that painting, it's like looking into my soul and imagine in real life. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
having some nice long moments of just sitting in your canoe and like observing nature.
Yes,
that's very powerful, like health modality. Observe nature.
Absolutely, yeah, and everything, like they're massive, so we always think of like the big things as like being the most spectacular, mountains, the bigger boats, etc. But like, yeah, like you were talking about watching a ladybug earlier, that it's all amazing, you know. These things are just, they're big, and so they're impressive, and to be close to them and feel that big energy is cool. And that to actually look at them, like not just look at them as a whole, look at like the way their ribs are, they're like the muscle, like they're so lean as well. It's impressive, like the hump on their back, and like the males have this thing hanging down. Their antlers, the fastest growing bone in the animal kingdom. Like, yeah, it's very, very spectacular. Algonquin is like a sanctuary for wildlife.
You get to bust out these animal facts, like on your trip. That must be cool. Like,
yeah.
I told my friend, I'm like, I was hanging out with my sister's friends who have kids, and their kids were like, oh yeah, little Billy came home from school and was telling us about, you know, the cycles of mosquitoes and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, that's awesome. I was like, I want to have more conversations about animals and wildlife, like at my social circles at the bar or wherever, like, and you get to do that on your trip. You know, by the way, like that type of tree, like it sends phyto insides, and like that moose, like, you know, it eats too much food, and like it echoes, like that's so cool. So
it's special. Nature is where it's at. We all need to spend more time out there.
Whether that's with going on a canoe trip, Driftwood Paddle, getting out on the lake, and going for a barefoot walk, you know,
getting out grounding,
eating outside, like
100%. That's another really great thing. Midday eating outside.
Yeah, you're like, that's what we did just now. It's like, yes, I do. We're probably gonna be inside for the next 3 hours, so like, I do want to eat outside.
It's important. Getting outside first thing in the morning uptakes serotonin. Which then turns into melatonin, which helps you sleep in the evenings. Being outside midday allows you to digest your food better. There's so much, the circadian rhythm with like the sun waking you up. There's so much to it. Yeah, it's very intuitive, really, and simple. But
it's almost like we need more sunroofs. Like the whole roof was just like a sunroof, and you have to have like some sort of shade to go over it.
Well, if you're in an office setting, otherwise, like, just get outside. Like, my inner child is not.
You're like, Jeff, just go outside.
Yeah. We need to like cut holes in our roofs, and like, you know, like, how can I be outside but I've been honoring my inner child lately, and so the big thing is that's come through is I like outside more than inside. I like outside more than inside. So now, like when I get up in the morning, I'm pretending or not pretending, I'm just honoring that inner child. So I'm like brush my teeth, getting in a cold shower, then like getting outside and being like, woo, you know? And
Woo! Yeah.
Ow! Yeah, it's cool.
Amazing. Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this, dude. I will plug our company.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do, before I felt bad, but now it's more so like, I think we do an amazing thing and that we are able to serve people and really create transformation in their lives.
Yeah, you've created that. Yeah, which is great.
It's super special. So it's called Driftwood Paddle, driftwoodpaddle.com, Driftwood Paddle on IG, Instagram, Driftwood Paddle Algonquin on Facebook.
Amazing.
Yeah, and like we're super interactive in regards to like the booking process. If you have questions, by all means send us an email. We're happy to get on a phone call. We love to get on a video call early on just to like understand
the specifics.
Yeah, what the wants are for us to understand each other's like get a feel for each other's vibe. It's amazing. Like early days we would just go basic like email and trips weren't really getting booked, and then we started saying like people started saying like you need to do a video call or at least a phone call, and it's like 95% of our trips booked because I think we just have an ability to connect with people, and we are excited. Like when we're planning an adventure, it's like planning an adventure with friends, and when people are like, yeah, we're gonna book, we're like, amazing, and then they're like, how do we pay? We're like, oh yeah, right, we have to charge you for this, like because it's like a friend calling up and like, hey, we want to go on an adventure, like you're in. It's like we get to go, awesome. Yeah, it's pretty special to feel that way.
Yeah, congrats for like creating that space for people, and thanks for sharing it to the world. And if you can, get out to Algonquin before the end of the season, like mid-October, I think you said, and and then next year, like running up in May, and
we have some trips early May. It's beautiful before the bugs. Like there's a nice pocket there where it's really quiet, just as spring is springing. And I mean there's beauty parts of every section, and we have gear for everything. But yeah, there's still trips, like open trips left this season to hop on, as well as like we're an outfitter, so we equip people as well with gear that needed to thrive in the backcountry.
Nice. I think you're living your favorite life.
Yeah.
And thanks, Chris, for being on the podcast, and thanks for
thanks, Jeff, for creating this.
Paying attention, participating, and what's the third one? And showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and honestly, to reconnect has been amazing, and like to further our friendship, super special. It's nice to know that we're like following our intuition and who we choose to spend time with and to like grow with. So it's sweet. I love what you're doing. I'm excited to see you. I'm subscribed to your life. I want to see where you go.
Oh, subscribe to my life. Yeah. Awesome. I'm doing this new thing, the double pumps.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the two. No, that's the new thing. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. We'll get to catch our secret meal.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
Chris is making. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening. Had a blast.
All right, friends. Hopefully you learned something new. For more information on living your favorite life, head over to yourfavoritelife.com to connect and explore some personal development services. If you feel like leaving me a review, I'd love to consider your feedback. And if you resonate with this energy, follow, share with a friend, and subscribe. Remember, create a nice life. Be kind, be curious, and be creative. Catch you on the flip side.